So today we're going to talk about clearing the air in relationships. And this is probably my most high priority, that if I were to give advice to couples or people in their just general relationship life, I would say this is probably, other than telling the truth, and this is part of telling the truth, it's probably the highest bang for your buck if you were able to get in the habit of clearing the air, of looking inside yourself and saying, what do I have unfinished with this person? What's in the way of my feeling trusting and connected with this person? What do I need to express or hear from them in order to be really present with them and not always have this little, oh, what do they really mean by that? This little extra voice that's usually some kind of self-protection, in order to not have that in the way. So we're gonna talk about that. I'll talk about some of my favorite clearing practices. But first I want to get a show of hands, sort of to see what you're bringing in. I'll just first start with, please raise your hand if you have anybody in your life right now. It could be long ago relationship, but it's still in you right now, something that you have not cleared with somebody who's important in your life. Okay, let's just admit to this one if that's true for us. That doesn't mean I'm going to call on you. I will ask for volunteers perhaps later. So that's quite a number of us. Special cases would be, how many have something that they wish they could clear or need to clear with their own parent? Just show of hands on that one. That, again, you may not choose to go there.
Dead or alive, or both?
Yeah, dead or alive. Good question, Bruce.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, a lot of times it's like we feel like it's too late.
Yeah.
Although, as a psychotherapist, I do a lot of clearing with people with their dead parents.
Right.
No, it's not as good. It doesn't take as much courage, but there's something beneficial about really looking into anything that's unfinished for you.
That's true.
And then one of the most painful ones, and the ones that I honestly have often failed when I try to mediate, are like an adult parent where their adult child and an adult parent. How many people have, you're either the adult child and your adult parent, or your child has been some kind of withdrawn from you some way. That's the most difficult one that I've had to deal with. And anybody bringing that in? That's just, all I want to say is, geez, my heart goes out to you. Sometimes these can be mediated, and I have had successes, but when I have failures around that, in successfully mediating those, that hurts my heart, and I would just hate to be in that position.
Hey, Susan, could you mute everybody? There's background noise coming in.
Yeah, I always intend to do that.
I know.
And then I always forget. How do I do that? I'm the one who has the capabilities of doing. I wrote that down, how to do that, but I don't see the people here. I don't have. I don't have participants. Let me hit participants. Okay, now I can mute all. Here we are. Okay, I'm muting all. All right, for now. But I really want you to, now you can unmute yourself if you have any kind of a comment, even one of those short little comments like we've already heard, because I want this to be spontaneous. So I'm not totally the presenter here. So now that I've said that, I just want to say something about one of the big values in the work that I'm teaching, and I call it the getting real 10 true skills, or getting real practices is looking at what keeps you from being present in any moment. And my theory is anything that's unfinished from your past, and this doesn't mean just communications that need to be cleared, it's unmet needs, unfinished conversations, feelings that you're kind of stuck with that you can't figure out how to clear. Any of that that's like that we're holding interferes with our being able to just be present and spontaneous and feel safe in the moment. And the getting real practices, all of them are designed to help you clear away the things that block being present. And being present is just that feeling of, I'm in the flow. If I have a want, I can speak my want. If I need to say, no, not now, I can do that. If somebody says no to me, I don't automatically assume that, oh, I can never ask for that again. I might be able to like negotiate or ask, is that your final answer? Is that likely to change? Let's say, you ask your partner for sex, you don't want to make it like, and the partner says no, you don't want to make it like that's their final answer, but some people do. So what I'm saying is that's the evidence that people are not in the flow. They hear one no and they make it like for all time, or they have one negative experience with somebody and then that person is like out of their life. That is the opposite of being in the flow. So I'm really wanting to teach all kinds of practices, but this clearing practice is one. So think of a person, let's get ourselves back in here. Think of a person in your life where you have the impulse to have a clearing conversation, but you're holding back for some reason. Just think of the person, a specific. And now unmute yourself if you're willing to share your answer to this question. What's holding you back? What thought or memory or something is holding you back? Like, why are you not doing it? Could I hear a few of those?
Well, and with one person, I've already tried. I've put out a friendly, let's talk, and he hasn't responded, and so that's an edge. I totally think we can heal, and it's a big situation, but there's a way I don't want to just, I hold back because a part of that I don't want to be rejected again.
Sure.
But it's important to me that we have a chance to do this for many, many different reasons.
Yeah. So that's a common one. I put out a bid and I didn't get anything back. Okay. Right. Any other reasons for holding back?
Yeah, it did not go well last time I tried.
Yep. How many people have had that experience? Let's show of hands, I tried it, it didn't go well. I don't want to go there again. And just while we're on that one, I want to ask you for another show of hands, because this is also so common. I just don't want to get back into it. I don't want to risk making that messy conversation again. We sort of have talked,
Right.
So just to basically avoid a mess or avoid becoming worse. No.
Right.
And these are, I'm not trying to talk you out of these reasons either. It's all about you being aware of what's inside of you, of your own resistances. Okay. Any other resistances inside about it? Mm-hmm.
I wanted to talk. I just had a grandson 3 days ago, and I'm in Finland, and my grandson's in Germany, and I wanted to tell my daughter, whom I haven't talked to and isn't in contact with the rest of the family because she's got another mother. I wanted to get connected with her before this and hear her And then it was her birthday, so I wanted to do it before the birthday, just hear her, just not be nice on her birthday or something like that. And,
What was your
she basically told me how how she doesn't want to be in contact with me and it's going to take time. And I thought, well, yeah, but it's not going to happen unless I push now. Because if I don't get in contact, it's just not going to happen. It hasn't happened the past year, 2 years, and it didn't happen then. And it,
So Sean,
you
you're
know,
you're kind of almost like it feels like to me like you are wanting to. What's holding you back right now?
well, she doesn't respond anymore. She said she's not going to.
Then this is a
And
big,
I phone her direct. I have her number. I know which number it is.
yeah,
It is ringing, I imagine. She
Well,
hasn't blocked me.
yeah.
So
Well, some of us are in that position where we have done our very best to connect with the person and help them feel safe or whatever. And they basically have marked a boundary. And that, that I want you to be aware of whether somebody has actually marked a boundary and said, I'm not sure what the exact communication that you got was, Sean, but I want to say this to everybody that, that would be a pretty good reason to let go of something if a person has said, look, I'm not going to respond to you. I don't want to have any kind of relationship with you. And if then they don't, you text them and they don't text back, that would be a pretty good relationship to try to work on this at a different level than what I'm going to be talking about today. Or in the realm of letting go of the things you can't control and doing some, I'm going to say some self-compassion work, because I believe in, ask for what you want as best you can. But if you don't get it, then we've got to go back to ourselves. We've got to have an inner resource for self-support for those moments, because honestly, you can't always get it from somebody else. And the sooner we learn that, the better. But so many of us give up too soon. And those are the people I want to be talking to today. I think there's a lot more of those people who are attracted to my work, people who inhibit themselves, than the real overly bold, bull in a china.
I wouldn't consider myself
bull in the
overly
china
bold
shop
at all.
people. Pardon me, Sean? Well,
I wouldn't consider myself overly bold. I just consider it. Yeah, I am aware that I'm breaking the boundary that she said she set, because I imagine she's not going to tell me when the boundary is open again. She's going to forget.
okay, so so you imagine that, and then what are you doing with that in terms of your own decision process right now? Are you going to wait, or?
No, I told her that I do really want to speak to her, and that I will listen to her and hear what's going on for her.
It's sort of
that's
like,
what she wanted.
Yeah, sort of like the ball's in your court now. You're saying to this other person, something like that. Yeah, and also that she's that her nephew was born, so that as well. But the emphasis being on her, because that's where it is. I do really want to connect with her, and I realize it more when the family feels closer now that my grandson's born. So I miss her a lot, and I told her that as well. Sure. So let's I'll keep doing it, and not. I don't know how much. It sounds to me, Sean, this is sort of in the realm of advice. The ball is in the other person's court right now. Yeah. And you're left in that hanging, waiting kind of feeling that, it's uncomfortable. Okay. Okay. There's different. Well, let me just see if there's any more reasons why. I'll go back to this question, then we'll get into a little more of the types of clearing and maybe do some work. Reasons why you're not reaching out to the person. I saw.
Morning, Susan.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
The reason I'm holding back on trying to clear the air with this person is because we are in disagreement about my behavior. He thinks my behavior was inappropriate, and I was speaking truth from my heart in the cleanest way that I could. And I can't find it inside myself to agree with him. About my behavior, if that makes sense.
Sure, sure. So some of these situations that you find yourself in have a lot to do with co-triggering. Both people got triggered by something, which basically can mean that I interpreted that person's behavior as something like they're rejecting me, abandoning me, my voice doesn't matter. Some kind of core fear has gotten activated. And that's probably true for the other person too. So now we're in that realm of not feeling safe with each other. So I'll speak to co-triggering later on in this session, because that's kind of a special case, but I do have a screen share for this sort of thing. So there's like clearing the air with people who you already can get an agreement with. So for a lot of these people that you're thinking about, you don't have any kind of agreement that this is a good thing, and that we have the kind of relationship where if one of us gets hurt or gets angry or feels dismissed or disrespected, we'll come back to the other to clear the air. How many people have any friendships or relationships like a romantic marriage type partnership? How many of you have that sort of agreement with anybody?
I don't understand the agreement, which
Agreement that we will clear the air with each other. We won't let things fester. That agreement. How many have that agreement with somebody? Even this small number is pretty darn good. I want you to congratulate yourselves, and this would be ideal. It's, the world is, our world is the way it is. But wouldn't it be nice if we had, at least in my thinking, if we had at least a few people that we felt that kind of ease with, where we could have an agreement. Even people you have ease with, a lot of times, it's like your best friend, but you don't really have that agreement, or you really don't stick to it. You might have it, but there's just certain things I'm never going to talk to that person about. Just notice this. There are values on like I have a hierarchy of values. Is the more honest and truthful and open the communication can be, the better. Okay, so I have a hierarchy of values, and the more you withhold, well, that's too bad. But we are where we are. But are there people you could get that agreement with, that you'd like to begin to, and the agreement would look something like this: we value our friendship. We know that withholding important feelings and thoughts from each other kind of can get in the way of our trust and our intimacy and feeling close. Could we make an agreement? And yeah, this is hard. Like the normal culture that we grew up in, it didn't really teach us how to do this. But could we agree that we're gonna come back to each other if somebody steps on each other's toes or hurts their feelings or does something that feels off? Could we agree that if you're holding something about me, you'll come and tell me? And then, we can talk about sort of the ground rules of that. I'll show you some forms for the ground rules for that, like staying on your own side of the net, taking responsibility for your own reactions. Those are the kind of values I'm talking about. but just even without any ground rules, just we will tell each other and we won't fight about it. I'll just listen to your feelings and I'll hear them and I'll accept them as yours. And that somehow my behavior had that impact on you and I care. That's all part of the ground rule. Is there somebody that you might want to have that conversation with? Like, let's have that agreement. Certainly, if you're in a long-term intimate relationship, it's a big mistake not to have that agreement if you want the relationship to continue to feel good. I don't think I have to tell you that. Yeah, Scott. Unmute. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just, as you're talking about this, I was actually thinking that I feel like sadly, more people, I imagine, have agreements of what they won't talk about. You know, whether it's under the guise of, you know, monogamy or, you know, what's appropriate in a relationship. It's like, oh yeah, we just, that's not gentlemanly like or ladylike or whatever we call it. But I feel like more people have agreements on what we shouldn't talk about culturally, sociologically than the reverse.
I like that, Scott. Could you give me an example of what you're talking about?
Well, I'll give you I'll share your answer to your question about a problem I'm having is I recently had a conversation with someone that I thought I had a very free-flowing friendship, someone I've been friends with for over 10 years. And we got in an upset, we separated. And when we came back together, I ended up, I admit this maybe wasn't the smartest thing I've ever done in my life. But when we came back together, this is someone I'm very radically honest with and we share like just what we're feeling and thinking. And I said, I was so mad at you while we weren't talking to each other. I was actually having fantasies of like how I could kill you or something like that. And that just triggered something in them and went back in. And in my mind, I was like, I thought I was talking to a friend and we were doing, you know, sharing our inner experience. And what I didn't realize is, well, in that case, I didn't realize I was triggering, you know, an actual trauma that I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
But since then I'm like, okay, maybe there's, you know, a limit to what I should actually say to someone, even if I think they're, it's definitely caused a.
Well, I hear you. And I think that's a good example because some people will get re-traumatized.
Yeah, totally.
And good for this person for protecting themselves is what I say. In this case, they let you know that you were triggering something that, you know, isn't something they feel they can really handle or would like to handle. They don't want to have violent metaphors, you know.
Yeah. And then since then it's in the realm of maybe similar to Sean's situation where I still see them as my friend and I'm like, and I'm, again, we're very close. I'm aware of their avoidant tendencies. They're very straightforward about how they're very avoidant. And so we're in this game of, I'm going to keep reaching out because I want to keep showing you that I'm here.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, every time you reach out, I pull back. I'm like, okay, but I can't totally pull back because I know you're avoidant and you won't do anything if someone doesn't do something. And it's not going to be you. So I'm like I feel like I'm in a stuck place. So.
Well, I would hope that somebody would kind of do the same thing as you're doing. Be yourself, but maybe step above the level, be yourself, keep reaching out because that's in your flow. That's your true nature. And they'll say, well, not ready to have this talk, don't want to hear those words, and that's up to them, okay, so that's a weird dynamic. What if you guys step above the level of, I like to call it above the level of the problem, get witnesses for a minute and say, we have this dynamic. I can be, here's what I would propose. I can be okay with it if you can. You know, it's a little hard for me to keep hearing no, not now, not that. You know, that's hard. That's hard for me, Susan. That's hard for me, Scott. But but I'm going to keep being who I am. You can keep being who you are in these instances, and every once in a while, maybe we can talk about how it feels. And that's the kind of clearing you need, not the content. I don't need to keep clearing the content of, hey, I want to tell you that I've had fantasies of, killing you, but I want to tell you how it felt when you didn't like what I said.
Right.
That would be a different level of clearing.
That's a good idea. I like
You
that.
could do that.
Yeah. I would say currently the other thing I've done is I've just enrolled some other close friends to just gently like say, hey, can you just, let her, check in with her from like kind of a triangular, like a sideways, it is triangulation, but just kind of be like, hey, it's like she's having a hard time with me. So just let her know that I ask about her every time I talk to them.
If they're willing to take that on.
Yeah, not as a, it is manipulative. I won't say it's not, but
No, you're being straightforward about it. As long
Yeah,
as
totally.
they feel, as long as you trust that they could say, Scott, I don't like being put in that position, if that were their truth.
yeah, that's definitely been talked about.
Good. It's just, everybody gets to be themselves if they know what they want and they could say, no, I don't want to talk about this. See, that's secure attachment. That's being in the flow. That's being real. That's relating instead of controlling. And since most of us are damaged in our ability to just say what's there and be in the moment, we need some practices. So that's why we invite our friends to be our practice partners in clearing the air and that sort of thing. We need these practices to heal.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's see. Maybe it's, let me just say a few things about some of the types of clearing. A lot of the clearing has to do with somebody feeling like hurt or, I was hurt or angry or disappointed. I didn't get the result that I wanted in our interaction. And I'm still holding some pain around that. So that's the main energy behind most people's clearing is I'm left with a feeling that I don't like having. And that feeling also has me being less close to this person that I'd like to be more connected to. And probably in the clearing conversation, and at least ideally in your own world, you wish that interaction would have been different. You wish you would have gotten the result that you wanted, but you didn't. So the clearing mainly is about your own feelings of lack of something. But another kind of clearing that's important, and this is in the book Getting Real, it's called revising, going out and coming in again. Sometimes you yourself did something stupid or said something you didn't mean, or you even said yes when you really meant no. I can't really help you with that, but I told you I would. So revising, I want you to remember that's another important type of clearing, which is, when I said that, I was kind of on automatic and I think I'd like to go out and come in again. I was nervous and I wanted to be a good friend. So I told you that I'd spend a day with you cleaning out your garage. Well, I don't know why I said that. I was, like I said, I was probably just trying to be a good friend. I wanted to be liked. I can't do that. If I had it to do over, I would have said, gee, I'm feeling awkward right now because I want to help you. I want you to like me, but I've got my own needs to consider, you know, so you just say the exact words when you go back to the person that you wished you had said the first time around that would have been more authentic. How many people ever do that revising thing? Because that should be easy for us, you know? There shouldn't be any excuse for not doing that one. People usually love it. I mean, they don't always love it. They go, what are you talking about? It didn't bother me at all, you know, and then maybe you feel foolish. So what? So you feel foolish for a minute. It's such a good thing to do. And I'm going to say it's probably the easiest truth skill to apply in your life. And there's so many times in my life when I see myself on automatic and I need to go back and revise. In the old days, I would just go, oh, I should have said, or I wished I would have. And it just all stays inside of me and it takes up a lot of psychic space. Once you communicate it, it's not inside of you anymore. You're back in your flow. It's just such an easy way to get some weight off your shoulders, you know? So I would want to put in a pitch for that. Now I want to show you a screen share, and then I'm going to ask for a volunteer to kind of go through this with me as a demonstration. So first, the screen share. So the clearing practice that we use when one of your needs weren't met or you had your feelings hurt is kind of like this. First of all, of course, you have to either have a prior agreement that you're going to do this type of thing and an agreement that it's going to look something like this, or you have to get an invitation by inviting the other person, like, there's something I need to clear with you. And I think if I get to say it, I can feel connected to you again. Or like with somebody at work, there's something that happened last week with us, and I think I'd like to talk about it so we can get back to our close, normal working relationship. So you set a context with two parts to it. First, a request, like, I'd like to do this. Is this a good time? Or when could we? And then also kind of a pro-relationship part, like, this is for the benefit of us feeling relaxed and connected again. And if you don't have that intent, if you just want to like dump on somebody, well, that's a whole other agenda. So I'm not recommending that. I'm recommending if you really want to clear the air, then it'll work. But if you say it's clearing the air, but you really want to get something from them, or I don't know exactly. My mother used to use the phrase, tell somebody off. You know that phrase, I'm just going to go tell her off. That energy probably doesn't serve clearing really. But sometimes that is the hidden agenda. You know, I just want to let that person know what they did to me and what that felt like, and fuck them, you know, versus, you know, I want to let them know what that felt like so I can see if that helps me let go of it. And maybe it doesn't. Maybe I have to do more than express it. Maybe I have to ask for something back. So that's what this here little clearing script allows you to do, is once you've said it, check in, see how you feel. Do you feel clear? Once you've said, when you didn't come to my birthday party after you said you would, I felt hurt. The meaning or story or inference, those are all synonymous, that I made of this was that our friendship is more important to me than it is to you. And in order to feel clear with you, And see, sometimes you can stop right at that, you know, and I just want to share this in the interest of transparency, you know, just those first 3 lines, just share the meaning, the feeling, and the event. And now that I've said that, let me, before I go to that last "and" sentence, was that enough? Was just saying it enough? And then if it was, I think it's also really important, and I didn't put that on the script here. And now that I've said that, I want you to know that I feel more relaxed. And I want to know the impact that this has had on you. So I didn't put that here in this script, but I think that's always important, because you might have just cleared your air, but now they're holding something, hearing that. And you want to give them a chance to see if that's true and to come back to you with something. They may have if they were schooled in this methodology, they might have a very similar comeback, like, well, when I heard you say that you felt hurt, and then, no, the impact on me was, I felt so sorry, blah, 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 you know, but they're now getting a chance to clear their air. So it's always in the best interest of you to ask people for feedback all the time, not just when you're clearing the air, but if you're a boss at work, if you're a parent, if you're doing a house project and you've got a bunch of workers working for you, it's always in your best interest to ask them for feedback every once in a while, so they're not carrying shit about you or bad mouthing you, especially in the workplace. So that's sort of another angle on this, is do you ask other people for feedback so that you help yourself by helping them stay clear with you, versus holding a bunch of negative charge or stories about you? Okay, that's off on the side, but I've done a lot of work in corporations, and that's one of the biggest places where people badmouth each other. So protect yourself. Okay, now the third thing here, let's say you've said your feelings, but you need something back from the other person. And so that's one of the things you want to check in about when you clear the air. What do I need? So in order to feel clear with you, the birthday party example, I'll need to hear, maybe I just need to hear that you've heard me, or I need some kind of indication that you care, that I felt that. And then you just ask that. So I would like, and I'm going to copy this in the chat so that we can see each other again. Stop the share. Go to the chat. Okay, so you can see it. Open your chat there under more, the bottom of the Zoom screen, if you haven't got that open. And now I'd like, if someone would think of a situation, and it may be more complicated than this, and that's fine.
Susan, I don't see it in the chat.
Oh, maybe, am I supposed to? I see it in my chat. How many people?
Yeah, I don't see it in mine either.
I wonder if I'm supposed to hit return or something. Let me try that.
Okay. Yeah,
There
there
we
it is.
There you
There.
go.
Okay, I'm a novice on some of this stuff.
You're a trained professional.
Thanks for telling me. It's not totally visible in my chat, but you can almost see all of it. I guess you guys can scroll it to see it. What I would like is somebody to volunteer to just see if this little script even works, or if it kind of doesn't include so much important information that it's just not going to work for you. Anybody got a situation where you have a person in mind and you just kind of like to have a go at pretending to speak to this person here on this call with me? Anybody want to try that? I see a hand. Kurt and Carrie?
Yeah, we could actually both do it,
Yeah.
if that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah, it's gonna be uncomfortable though.
Is it with Kurt?
Yeah,
Good, that's perfect. All right.
okay.
So,
You want me to go?
Is now a good time?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. You want me to start it? Yeah, okay.
yeah, perfect. Great,
Okay.
Kurt.
I'm
Okay.
gonna try this. I'm a little scared to do it, but I'm gonna try it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's something I need to say to you. And I think if I say it to you, I'll feel closer and more connected to you. Is now a good time?
Yes.
Okay. So now I have to cheat and look in here.
Please.
Okay, so when I told you last night that I felt scared and you didn't respond to me, the meaning I took, or the story I told myself, was that you didn't care about me. And in order to feel clear with you, I'll need you to show me some way that you really do care and that I didn't need to do a formal talk with you to have you respond. That anything, like anything that you could say to make me feel like you really do care about my sad feelings or when I'm scared.
Right. Okay, so now, just as an FYI for the group,
Yeah.
we have been trying to do some work and some practice. So let me try to do my good response.
Okay.
So what I would want to say is, let me see if I got that. And so last night when you told me that you felt scared and I didn't respond, then what you told yourself, the story that you told yourself, was that I really didn't care about what was going
My
on.
is, yes.
Yeah. And that what you would need in order to feel better would be for me to be able to respond and help you, give you comfort in some way, even if we haven't got some sort of formal scripted thing going on.
That's right.
Is that about right?
That's right. You got it. Yep.
Yeah. So that makes sense. I totally get that. And I'm really sorry that I wasn't there for you in that way.
Thank you. He's all teary-eyed, just so you know. So I feel his
Yeah.
empathy. Thank you.
Yeah. You know what? What tells me, Kurt, that you're sincere is you didn't go on and on and on with your words.
This
mean,
might be a first.
I loved it. I loved it. And sometimes that's why we need these scripts, although
The script is good.
you were operating from a couple of scripts, but they were important scripts, and people go, oh, that makes it sound so rote and so automatic, or not automatic exactly, but mechanical. The reason we do these scripts is like training wheels. It's like, for a while, you need scripts to keep you focused on what you need to say, to keep you from going outside the lines too much, blah, 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 explaining. The explaining thing is the main thing people do wrong, let's call it. So I'm all for scripts as the beginning of learning how to be more real. And then you can throw away the script once it's truly integrated.
Can
Thank you
I
so
interrupt
much.
for 1 second?
Yeah.
I just have a question about that. I wouldn't have done that while triggered, right? Because I totally went into my trigger. I mean, I took me right back to my dad not caring, and when I told him I was sad. So I actually was freaking out, and I felt like I was just a little girl, and like demanded him, poor guy, demanded that he help me. I was not okay.
Yeah. So when you're triggered, and I do have a second script that goes into the trigger repair a little bit more. It's really important that you don't try to communicate to somebody while you're triggered. If you know that. Most people don't even know when they're triggered, because they're so used to just talking over their triggers and from their triggers.
I knew it. I knew I was triggered but I felt totally out of control. I'm embarrassed and ashamed to say it, but I could not calm myself down. I couldn't sit in a room I'm terrible at self-soothing.
Mhm.
No, really.
Somehow time will eventually get you untriggered, usually. It took you how long then? What got you more or less untriggered there, Carrie?
He was really good about talking to me, even though I was demanding it. Basically had my clothes and was ready to go to my daughter's house. And he was really good about kind of like going under the wave and like trying to help me. Yeah, but in the moment, I mean, it's just really hard.
It is. And sometimes you need some kind of, when you're in a partnership, especially, some kind of co-regulation, like the Kurt person seeing the Carrie person like moving away, or throwing some kind of aggressive or blocking energy.
Yeah.
And still being somehow reassuring. Co-regulation is some kind of reassurance. I'm still here from you. I'm still here for you. I love you, even though
Yeah.
you don't seem to be wanting that right now. Or just
Actually, that would have done it. That's what I always need to hear, is that I love you. I'm not going anywhere.
yeah. Most people, what you need, what a triggered partner generally needs is some kind of reassurance that their core fear is not true. So the core fear that you don't care about me, that sort of thing.
Yeah, especially because I have that anxious attached.
Yeah, we know, it's our responsibility now that we know a little bit about, people get triggered, to get a little more familiar with what's that kind of chronic fear that I run in the background. I'm always scanning for people disrespecting me or abandoning me or not caring, like get on to yourself about what you're scanning for in the fear part of your brain. We call that the survival alarm system. It's always some kind of.
I think we both have that, and then I think that each of us is somehow very attuned to the other person's fight, flight, flee, whatever. That sort of then often will set off the whole, kind of like danger, danger, danger across both of us. But I will say that one thing that finally occurred to me as we tried to kind of like slow down and calm down is that I was running my own stories and loops in my head. And I finally just asked, can we kind of like slow it down and start in a way where I get my paper and my, writing instrument, and you talk to me, and I just try to really listen and focus on what you're saying. And then going through the part where I can actually listen and say it back and then think about it instead of just reacting to it. And I think that slowed us both down and got us out of that, that whatever, the reptilian brain thing that tries to take over.
Well, one thing that I want to draw from this that I can share with the whole group, with what you're saying, Kurt. Let's say somebody kind of won't talk to you. They're not clearing the air with you. One of the best things you can do, if you have the kind of relationship where this is meaningful, is some sort of co-regulation. Touch, eye contact, soothing voice tones, or some kind of specific reassurance that you care or that you're not going anywhere. When you're in a long-term relationship, you pretty soon get to know, well, what is that core fear of my partner that chronically needs reassuring? And just give it to them. That's called co-regulation. Carrie mentioned not so good at self-regulation. Well, I want to say to everyone, keep working on it, please, because it is important somehow to be regulated before you go into initiating a clearing session. And you did that. I mean, today you're doing that, Carrie, and you're regulated. So, and sometimes it takes a while, and sometimes it's not just conscious breathing. Conscious breathing is one thing, but know what you can do for yourself to calm your actual physical nervous system, like breathing, like feeling your butt on the chair, your feet on the ground, looking at actual things in your environment, anything that's kind of grounding. We all need those tools, or we're going to live in kind of a fight, flight, freeze kind of chronically, which actually many people do. But you don't have to live that way. So work on self-regulation. And for some people, it's walking around the block, dancing, listening to music. I mean, find your own way, but do not try to initiate a clearing session when you're dysregulated. And I also recommend that you go through this little cheat sheet and prepare yourself a little bit before you go into a clearing session. There's nothing wrong with thinking about what you want to say before you say it.
And the clearing session is not where I would say I was triggered, or
Well, then that's the next.
would I? Is that more?
Screen share? That's the next screen share. Let me go to that one.
Okay.
It's not happening here. Let me hit it again. There it is. Now it's over here. So here's the, when you're triggered, this is the simplest version of the script. When you kind of know you've been triggered, and the idea is as soon as you can after a triggering incident, you ask, is this a good time? I have some feelings to clear. And then starts out the same as the other one. Oh, when you walked out of the room while I was talking, I got my fear that my voice doesn't matter triggered. So you come right out and say what fear you already kind of know you have. If you don't know what that fear was, give it some words. You might not have the perfect words, or read 5-Minute Relationship Repair or From Triggered to Tranquil. Those are my 2 most recent books. And you read both of those books, or even one of them, you will get a pretty good idea of how to label your core fear and where it came from. And but most of us don't like to admit these things. We've still been conditioned that we're not supposed to be out of control and crazy and stuff like this. So this trigger work, just keep trying to accept that, hey, I got triggered, and eventually you will. If you use this kind of script and you have these kind of agreements with people, you will eventually get easier and easier about saying, I got my fear of abandonment thing triggered. And that ought to be part of people's normal ability to express themselves, naming their trigger, because that's part of taking responsibility that I had a reaction based on some of my own unfinished business. So I'm handling that. I'm owning it. I'm not blaming you. And if everybody in the world could just accept that, okay, that was my trigger. That's my sensitivity. I walk around with it. I'm not a bad person. Everybody's got something. That attitude helps the world be a safer place, because we're not blaming each other for our reactions. That would be a really nice world to live in. Okay, so then you go, just like Carrie did, the story my mind made up. Now, and you might have noticed in that other script, Carrie didn't say, I felt, like I felt hurt, or I felt like running out of the room, or I felt like punching you in the face. I mean, whatever, there's different feelings. I have different lists of feelings in some of my books, but you can get lists of feelings anywhere. It's not always necessary to state the feeling. Carrie, I thought the way you did it was just right. actually for what it was true for you, because your reaction was based on a story. And so here we basically say that. So it's just pretty much like what Carrie said, you know, story my mind made up was you don't care or something like that. And I need your help. And so this is pretty much what you did, Carrie, you know, in going through that other script, but you did the triggered script. And the triggered script does ask for reassurance at the end, some kind of reassurance, and use the word reassurance sometimes. I need reassurance that my needs do matter. I need your help to feel that you're going to be here, or that I'm not really being abandoned when you take space from me.
Could I ask a question about that part?
Yeah.
I do need a lot of reassurance because of my anxiousness
Mhm.
and my abandonment issues. I had a really strange childhood, but oh, I got bounced out.
I'm going to.
Am I there? Okay. So if I ask for reassurance and I can't get it, I get re-triggered all over again.
Well, try this wording. I need your help to feel. I thought I put that in the, let's see if I can find it now. I tried to copy that just now, but it's not, it somehow didn't go. I'll hit return again. Okay, whatever. Because we're almost out of time anyway. So try the I need your help to feel rather than asking for something too specific. If you could, Carrie.
Okay, I will.
And for people who aren't in a couple relationship, I would definitely recommend the I need your help to feel that my needs do matter. You can't come right out and say to a friend or an acquaintance, you know, I need reassurance. I mean, it's just not, it's not part of the contract that they're supposed to like always be there for you. As a couple, it's a little different contract, at least in most cases. You guys have to decide which language works for you if you're a couple. But the I need reassurance that my needs do matter, sometimes that comes across as a little controlling or a lot controlling, because you know you're telling me what to say. So if you back off just a little bit and I need your help to feel, you're not asking the person for anything specific. And for many recipients of that request, they'll go, oh, now I can feel like I want to reassure them because they're not like telling me what I have to do. Can you see the I need reassurance that has a little more of a control energy. I need your help to feel has less of that control energy in it.
Another 5-10 minutes.
It can be
Yeah.
better for some partnerships.
I think.
Well, there's a lot more that we could go into, isn't there, folks? But I am out of time. I'm going to leave maybe just one more minute for any, one last comment or anything that's on anybody's mind here. But keep in mind that we're not getting into something again, although I will, answer a question if it's simple enough. Anybody got anything to share?
Yeah, I'll say something.
Mhm.
I'm talking to think that an interesting thing for me is there's so many incompletions in a way. There's so many places where I want to clear the air, and it's almost like where do I begin? and I'm having success in doing that, but it's like a mountain. It's like life is life, and there's so many things.
Yes, that's right. That's right. If I think if we were all honest with ourselves, we'd probably have a similar thought to what Bruce just said. Geez, there's so many, Start with the most important or start with the easiest,
Okay.
and you just keep chipping away at this life, at all the conversations that we'd like to have, but maybe we have to kind of crank ourselves up, get a little prepared. So, Don't
Thank
be
you.
ashamed. Don't be ashamed that you have to prepare a little to have these difficult conversations.
That's spot on. Thank you.
Work, but it's good work.
Great. Great.
All right, I want to say bye to everybody and thank
Thank you,
thank you for
Susan.
showing
You're
up
so
today.
generous. Thank you
Yes,
so
and-
much.
and thanks especially to Carrie and Kurt for
Oh, thanks.
Yes,
opening themselves up to us.
fantastic. Thank you,
Thank you for
Carrie,
the
for
help. Thank you.
Okay.
That was nice.
Bye,
Bye.
Susan.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Susan,
Thank you.
as always.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susan.
Okay, thanks.